What's up, NBA fan? What's up, all sports fans? It's your boy JB, host of the Behind the Bench podcast network and channel, giving a shout out to the rest of the crew. Shad, Kelvin, KB Film Room, Big Dog Talk Sports. That's right, that's right. Everyone who's tuning in, thank you for supporting Behind the Bench. Subscribe to the channel, help make the show the best that it can be. Well, here we go again. Deja vu. It's been going on for 7 years. Nothing has changed. The only thing that has changed is the year. That's it. And it's the same pattern. Same pattern. And you can set your watch to it. And I'm going to explain what my honest take is on all this and why this information is being reported. When it comes to the purple and gold, the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, according to Legion Hoops, Kendrick Perkins recently said on the air that if LeBron James requests a trade, the Lakers will entertain it, per ESPN NBA. There ain't no holding him back, aka the Hurricane. So, basically, this information being pushed out here because his cohorts, his supporters, his spokesman, whatever you want to call it, they do not want to see him in any situation that will not allow him to maintain a clear-cut advantage over the opponent. Also, when there are no more moves to be made, when all assets have been exhausted and depleted, they're going to request for him to leave or ultimately to request a trade to so-called greener pastures. This has been the pattern for the better part of 15 years. And it's really accelerated and grown more extreme over the past 10 years. So, we've had other prominent voices on the sports talk circuit who are calling for him to be traded, of all places. The Golden State Warriors. Then you have some voices out there that want him and Anthony Davis traded. And I'm going to explain why, if you read between the lines. You have people covering the team on the regular that's calling for both superstars to be traded. And I honestly believe it's not for the sake of the organization, it's to spite the organization, particularly the front office, and particularly ownership. Because they do not want the Hurricane to receive any criticism for the position that the Lakers find themselves in, the ultimate conundrum. And what's crazy is the front office, the Laker brass, the GM, Rob Pelinka, and the owner of the team, Jeannie Buss, have been pushed and prodded and forced to make move after move after move after move after move. Trade after trade after trade after trade after trade. Free agent after free agent after free agent after free agent after free agent. Buyout after buyout after buyout after buyout after buyout. Giving up draft pick after draft pick after draft pick after draft pick after draft pick. And now, the well is so dry that the only two remaining assets the franchise had for the rest of this decade that they have exclusive rights to, that they could include in a trade, is in 2029 and in 2031. And this is only 2024. So if they break the bank again and include those draft picks in the trade, because the team is not going to just ask for one, they're going to ask for both, because they know this team don't have no leverage, because they're in ultimate win now mode. And when you're ultimate win now mode, you wind up exhausting all the leverage that you once had. So if they make that final push, you may as well close shop and close the curtains to the 2030s. That's what we're staring at. So what's happening is, you got these cats out here and his fans. They want him gone. So he's in a position to win another championship so they can continue the most incredulous, manufactured, irrational, unreasonable, unrealistic debate in the history of professional sports. And then, unfortunately, we have supporters of the purple and gold all parties or segments of all parties feel comfortable in casting blame exclusively towards the front office. And it's all too predictable. That's the way this whole thing was set up. When this guy was brought to the team, July 2018, that's the way this whole thing was set up. And that's why I refer to him as the Hurricane. And we're looking right into the eye of the hurricane as we speak. And I'm going to tell you what kicked off these recent talks. About him possibly, being traded. What gave the impression last year that the Lakers, with him on the team, were the favorites to win the championship, even though Denver was the defending champions, and at the time, they had not beat Denver in like a season and a half worth of games, including the postseason. What gave them the impression is them winning that in-season tournament. It was a ruse. It was smoke and mirrors. And they wind up losing in the first round to the Denver Nuggets anyway, who is referred to as their daddy, at least right now. This year, they did not qualify for the in-season tournament championship round. And now, you got all this panic brewing, man. You got all this tension, right? The team started off 3-0, and they went on a bad streak. Lost by 41 points, one of the worst defeats in the history of the franchise. They gotten blown out by the Denver Nuggets by like 25 points. And then Phoenix Suns handed it to them in the Valley of the Sun by like 27 points. So now it's like, Lakers, oh man, we don't have no depth. We need size. We need perimeter defense. Shooters, big men. Does that sound familiar? But they told us last year that the Lakers had the best offseason of any team in the NBA heading into the start of not this season, but last season. They said they had enough depth and the roster to unseat the Denver Nuggets if they were to meet in the playoff. That's what they said. So now we have to get rid of this guy. We got to get rid of that guy. People who had just re-signed for like 3-4 year extensions that are currently injured. It got so bad as when you look at the full picture, you can see the handwriting on the wall and see how things were going to evolve. And when it was determined that the original young core was expendable, now over the past couple of weeks, oh man, you get these reports, man, you know, they trying to bring back Brandon Ingram and all this jazz. I said, yeah. There was even some talks about Lonzo Ball, even though Lonzo Ball has been dealing with that knee injury. And Lonzo Ball recently revealed that the reason for, more than likely the reason for the knee injury was because coming up in high school, you know, they was practicing on concrete a lot. I mean, hard concrete surfaces and wearing those big baller brand shoes that weren't really, you know, designed properly. That, you know, it was kind of a rushed product, and apparently put a lot of, you know, wear and tear on his lower body, legs and whatnot, and then eventually his knee, you know, knee trouble. But I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying, you know, they're asking for some of their players to come back, and then, oh man, we need someone like Kuz to come back. Oh, look what Josh Hart is doing. Oh man, why is Ivica Zubac playing for the Clippers? You know, that's why I said, man, you can try to disassociate yourself from your real players, but in the back of your mind, you know that there are real players. Even right now, in spirit, at this very moment, even 5 years after the fact, where the majority of them were casted out outside of Kyle Kuzma, and as soon as Kyle Kuzma was given an extension after his rookie deal ended, he was immediately traded to the Washington Wizards in the Russell Westbrook trade. So in the back of their mind, you know, you got fans out here, they starting to say, oh man, you know, welcome back, B.I. You know, this is your home. And I'm telling you, it just shows and proves that none of this should have been happening, man. None of this should have been happening. So now, like I said, that we're reaching the end of this road, everybody's scrambling, trying to figure out, man, the best way for this franchise to hang on. And it all points to the fact that in the summer of 2018, the franchise acted 1 year too soon, and as a result, they've been operating behind the eight ball since. And the proof that they've been operating behind the eight ball, look at them standings since the year of the bubble. They cannot clinch a legitimate playoff seed without having to advance through the play-in tournament to get to the postseason. And in 2022, they didn't make the play-in at all and finished with a record of 33-49, 2 wins less than the young core-driven team of 2018 that improved by 9-10 games from the previous season, improved by 20 games over the previous 2 seasons before they brought the Hurricane to the franchise. So it just shows the day that he was brought to the franchise, instead of moving forward, they was really operating backwards. Because you went from the eventual a situation where you fielded the oldest team in the league the year that they won in the bubble. That was the oldest team in the league. They knew that team wasn't gonna hold going into the next season. That's why they really start when they start overhauling the roster on a yearly basis, right? And they finished in 7th place in 2021, lost in the first round to Phoenix. 2022, they finished with a worse record than the New Orleans Pelicans. In 2023, they was on the verge of missing the playoffs again. And then miraculously, they got saved with a roster overhaul where seven new players were brought to the team mid-season. And they finished with 43 wins. Still had to go through the play-in. And when they played a complete team that was healthy, they lost to them in 4 games. Okay. So it gets down to this reality. You got people out there that are calling for both the Hurricane and Anthony Davis to be traded, not for the sake of the franchise, but to spite the franchise. You know what they're going to say? All the Lakers are wasting their best years. That has been the framework of how the front office have been pushed to mortgage more of their future away after they threw all the chips in the middle of the table that led to a season that appeared that gave the false impression that the franchise had returned back to the top. That's not what happened. What happened was you mortgaged a decade off for 1 year. And this is what I've been saying the whole time. When you really study the situation, this is why when you went that route, well, what do people start saying? Well, heck, we got to go all in now. We got to go all in. When you start talking like that, you start panicking. But when you got the future in the palm of your hand, you don't talk like that. When you got something in the palm of your hand where you know you got a future to look forward to, you don't talk like that. You say, "Oh man, we got beautiful days ahead." You feel optimistic. You feel a sense of joy. You feel a sense of excitement. You know what I'm saying? You make sound decisions based off of that. You see what I'm saying? But when you trade that off and you try to take the immediate route, that's where the panic starts. Then you start making decisions that's based on anything and everything but logic. You start rushing. That's what the bubble season represent. It was a rush circumstance. You see what I'm saying? But if you truly build, we would have became OKC before OKC became OKC. We would have became the Houston Rockets before the Houston Rockets became the Houston Rockets. We would have became the Memphis Grizzlies before the Memphis Grizzlies became the Memphis Grizzlies. They've been trying to catch up to us. Now we're trying to catch up to them. But what people try to hold on to make it seem like we went the correct route. You know what they're going to say? Oh, we won a championship, but it was in the bubble. Now, mind you, we can't control what happened with the pandemic and all that. I get that part. That's why, for me, that the season should have been canceled altogether. Because staging that bubble caused the myriad of problems that followed, compressing the schedule, the NBA timeline, the natural NBA timeline was altered and compromised. Players was rushed into a new season, not in true NBA shape, and then we start seeing the level of injuries that we witnessed over these past three and a half seasons. It's not a coincidence that it's happening. I believe what's going on is the ripple effects of having that bubble where the NBA timeline was thrown off whack. And players, like, their mindset it changes as a result. They're trying to come up with ways to accommodate players based off of their bubble. Then you start compromising the schedule, eliminating back-to-backs and all this jazz, and then you cut into training camp and preseason to try to make that possible. And the players are entering the start of the season not in condition, and you got all these leg injuries, hamstrings, calves, sprained ankles, knee injuries. I believe it's directly attributed to everything being rushed. See, when you break this stuff down and you use logic, you can see it exactly what it is. And it's not hate. It's not hate when you got empirical evidence to state your case. Empirical evidence. So, what's going on now is not surprising to me. And when you hear all this stuff about trades, it's not even 2 months. It's not even fully 2 months in to the season. The season started with like October, was it 17th or something like that? Now they calling for trades. Trying to get other teams to agree to trade certain players to bail this dude out. Well, what they saying, if they can't make those trades, they gonna push for him to be traded. Because they know their team ain't got a shot. You see, they know that team ain't got a shot. But the same roster. I'm not talking about who we drafted in Dalton Connect. He's legit, man. I like the way he played. He's having a solid rookie season for himself. It's not about who they drafted. It's about the outside players. That's what this is about. Funneling players in and out of there, on a whim every year. This the same roster that they try to convince fans of this franchise that it was money in the bank. And they can get ready to ice the champagne. Pull the champagne out. It was all a ruse, man, because they have to continue a narrative that will suggest that the Hurricane can turn any team into a prime contender and lead them to the finals. But they can try to validate that when he was playing in the Eastern Conference, when it was truly lackluster. I mean, the conference is improved now. The conference is much more talent based now for superstars. But especially from like 2014 to 2018, after Derrick Rose injured his ACL, I mean, there was no competition there for him. None. Come postseason. But in the West, every game counts. And we're seeing that right now. Every single game counts in this conference. And he can't pull that off. He can't. What I'm trying to say, when he's playing in the Eastern Conference then, like I said, it's much better now. Cleveland is back. Boston is on top. Milwaukee has Giannis, who he led to a championship back in 2021. Orlando is strong. They number 3 seed in the Eastern Conference right now. The Knicks are way better than they were, 5-6 years ago. So the conference is there. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty much on point now. Well, when the conference was lackluster, his teams, they didn't have to play up to their talent level throughout the course of the regular season. So therefore, the effort normally needed to show that a championship ball club during the regular season wasn't as much of a necessity or requirement. So therefore, they didn't have to play defense like a championship, a bona fide championship would be required to. They can lax. You see what I'm saying? Because seeding wouldn't matter in the East, because come playoff time, the talent level, being on the super team, well, he would just devour the rest of the competition. His teams would devour the rest of the competition. But in the West, no, that's impossible. You can't do that in the West. Can't do it. So what I'm getting at is, man, And that's why I've been saying the gig is up. The gig has been up. And it was all about sacrificing that young core. And once they got AD, Anthony Davis, a lot of people were convinced that they was going to win 3 straight championships. I guarantee it, man. I put money on it. I can tell. I can tell by the conversation, what the talking heads was saying, they was trying to get that. They were darn near trying to get a super duper squad for this dude. Not just a super team, but a super duper team. But the system doesn't make it possible for something like that to happen because it's not natural to begin with. But to try to rationalize the thought process, they're going to try to convince you that, oh man, every team in the past that won a championship or won 60 games in the past was a super team. No, there was a team that was built up. They developed that chemistry, went through the fire, and came of age as a team. And then the Chicago Bulls of the world, the Bad Boy Pistons of the world, teams like that, they broke through one championship. Houston Rockets, Kobe and Shaq, they went through the fire before they started winning. They had to go through the fire. See what I'm saying? And Kobe was going through the fire at 18, 19 years old. 19, 20 years old. So this is why I say the most important element of this franchise moving forward was cash it out. They was more important than having the Hurricane on the team. They was more important than having another superstar on the team. The most important fabric of this foundation was cashed it out, and it's that young core. And not the end all be all, but to establish the foundation where you're not gonna fall off like you did, during the years where we had the bad seasons. After a transcendent player like Kobe, the late great Kobe Bean Bryant, succumbed to that Achilles injury, and then a trade that was blocked 5 years prior, that all led to the decline. Setting the foundation will put you in a position where you don't have to experience a fall off like that. The foundation's so strong to where you're always going to be viable. And with your assets, you're set up in such a beautiful way to where you'll stumble into good luck. Good luck will come knocking on your door. That's what OKC is about to show the world. That's what Oklahoma City is about to show the world. Houston Rockets got a ton of draft picks. And I forgot about that. They got a ton of draft picks in that James Harden trade. Now look at it. It's not an accident. You draft good and you bring in key free agents that won't take over but anchor. Like Dylan Brooks is helping to anchor the young talent in Houston that is now starting to blossom. The Van Vliet is providing strong veteranship at the guard position. You see, if the Lakers would have did that, brought in them type of free agents to help anchor and provide a veteranship to our young core, man, couldn't nothing stop us. Couldn't nothing stop us. And this is why I say the Brandon Ingrams of the world will be playing better for the Lakers than he is down there in New Orleans. Because that's not his team. That's not his team down there. It's always going to be, even when Zion Williamson is not in uniform or injured, he's missed the whole season a couple years ago. They're always going to view it as his franchise because they drafted him to be the franchise player. So it's always going to be his team. So if they had a choice between trading Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, they're going to trade Brandon Ingram. But it's funny how things turn. Now you have to sit and be patient and watch it unfold, But once it hits there, man, you just shake your head, be like, "Oh man, it's right on the money." It's nothing that should be shocking nobody. But they do not want to see the Hurricane in a position where he really has to go out there and overcome the odds. They don't want that for him. Kobe had to overcome the odds. When he led the Lakers to the finals in 2008, The Lakers was not predicted or picked to advance to the finals that year. So we was ahead of schedule, even though we lost to Boston in the finals, and it was you felt that. I felt the pain, but the positive outlook was, man, we weren't even picked to be here. We a year ahead of schedule. So I knew when Kobe set the tone for the next year, I said, okay, I know we gonna be champions in 2009. It was no doubt in my mind we was gonna win the title. Whoever came out the East, we was gonna win the championship. And we didn't make no off-season changes. That's what made it even more beautiful. We did it with the same roster, man. We did it with the same. That's what made it so sweet, man, and just, joyful. And that's not what this is, man. That's not what this is. This was a thing where we had all the assets in the world. We had all the riches. And a dude came up in here, gutted it out, and clean out the cupboard in record time. Now they don't have nothing. So now you got people out there knowing that the future was mortgaged away to get Anthony Davis, because it was. Because the Pelicans have made the playoffs twice since his trade went out. And 2 of those years, they have finished with a better record, a regular season record. The only thing that's been holding them back is franchise back is injuries. That's it. If that team had been relatively healthy, let's say like the Boston Celtics, where they've been relatively healthy with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. They've been healthy the whole time, man. For the most part, they had at least been to a conference finals by now. I guarantee you that. Only thing holding them back is injuries. So they'd have been finishing with a higher seed. So we're behind the 8 ball again. We're sitting there hovering around 9th place, 10th place. Meanwhile, Memphis is getting healthier, and Ja Morant has been missing some games, and they still in 2nd place. Telling you, man, it's a trade-off for the ages, man. But they do not. Michael Jordan had to defeat the odds. You see what I'm saying? Dirk Nowitzki had to defeat the odds. Giannis had to beat the odds. What I mean by beating the odds is going through the attrition, competing, where a lot of times when a team win a title for the first time, they may not even be favored to win it. You see what I'm saying? The 09 Lakers were not favored to win the championship. Even when we won it, it was the Cleveland Cavaliers that was picked to win it all. Milwaukee wasn't favored to win the championship the year they won it. They was picking Brooklyn, at least to come out the East. So a lot of time when a team win a championship, man, especially their first championship or their first title in a long time, a lot of times they didn't even pick to win it. Now I'm talking about non-super teams, by the way. So it's the same old thing all over again, man. And I just wanted to drop this video real quick, and nothing is surprising me. And like I said, I'd be glad when this whole ordeal is over. As a fan, with my team back, man, and I mean, we ain't gonna have no choice but to make some logical decisions after all this is over, because shit, we don't have no draft picks to do nothing. Ain't no superstar finna come here to save the franchise. It's not gonna happen. These young stars, are all locked in with their current team. We ain't got nothing to trade for them anyway. That's what I'm saying. This dude got us so jammed up so bad, it's frightening. So, I tell you what, player empowerment, that era, that movement is done. And teams are going back to basics and just building the right way. And if your star player is good enough, he'll lead them to the championship. That's really what it comes down to. And that's the beauty of the NBA. That's been the beauty of the NBA. And that's been disrupted over these past 15 years. But we're going to get it back. We're going to get it back. And eventually, I will have my team back. And I will be jumping for joy. So I just want to drop that nugget. Until next time, JB for BTB Behind the Bench.